Each morning, real setups are broken down with entry strategies and technical reasoning behind every trade. This is today's best trade setups with Verified Investing.
Welcome to today's best trade setups. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing. And we have silver that's running up a little bit more today. Friday had a great move. I think it was up over 7%. Now it's hitting some key psychological resistance heading forward. It could head all the way up as high as $90 an ounce today. For me, that would be my max upside because of a high pivot point, and we'll go into that a little bit later. The first one I'm going to go over, though, is my favorite, and this is Oracle. It's actually getting into a nice long level. I did have this nice sell-off down pre-market, trading at $146.36. For me, I'm looking at entering ORCL at 142.83. I mentioned this is going to be a gap that's in the charts that I'm looking to go long. And then if it does break below that level, I would be dollar cost averaging all the way down in the secondary gap fill right here, sitting at $136.48. ORCL can move quite nicely, so I would be considering dollar cost averaging into this chart of ORCL. Ultimately, I still love this for a long trade. I don't know if we're going to get a bid today, but your first resistance level on the upside is going to be 156.48. But ultimately, 172.80 would be a level for a shortable level going into the future. LITE had this nice move to the upside. I'd mentioned $771.37 was a great shortable level going into Friday's session, and it got up to that level, got a $15 pullback, and now we're actually trading slightly lower on LITE. For me today, what I'm looking at is a whole round number of $700. If we get another push to the upside, that is where I'd be starting as trade, $700.27, knowing that I would dollar cost average every $7 higher for the chart of LITE, just to keep my dollar cost average close. But ultimately, I think this will eventually roll over to about $504.42. And if it does drop into that level today, I would actually take that for a long play. But we've got a long way to go for it to get down to that level. That's over $160 drop. And something like LITE can make that kind of move. I just don't see that happening today. The S&P 500 on the back of some tariff news is getting a little bit of a bid to the downside today. So we're eyeing that support level that I mentioned a couple different times. If we get a continued sell-off, you should get a nice solid bounce. Once it breaks that level, though, and this is the fourth hit of this, basically the support level, if it drops into $676.57, that is going to be basically your line in the sand. Once that breaks, though, $671.40 is a gap in the charts that we're looking for a potential bounce off of today. If we continue that sell-off, I don't see us getting below $676.57 today, so I would actually take it for a long. If we start getting a bid higher, I still have my shortable level at $697.11, knowing I've got the whole round number of $700.17 for a potential short opportunity, dollar cost average all the way up to that level. The Qs are also falling a little bit in the pre-market session. If it gets up to $616.52, I would consider shorting this. As you can see, in prior price action, we've gotten up there a couple different times. Now, this is going to be the resistance level that I'm looking for. On the downside, if we get a continued fall, $590.07 is where I'm looking to pick up the QQQ, knowing I've got additional support at $583.46. Nvidia, let's restore that connection. Nvidia is actually up in the pre-market today slightly. We're still targeting this up-sloping trend line. This goes back to the low pivot right here from the 8th or 7th of April 2025. Secondary hit, third hit, fourth hit, finally broke down, got back above, tried to confirm back inside of it. Now we're still technically below it. So I am looking at $193.61 as a potential shortable level today, knowing for me, the major resistance is going to be at 199.05. You've got this gap in the charts that still needs to be taken out. Once we recapture this upsloping trend line, I think we're going to blow through this 199.05, not necessarily today, but eventually, and head all the way back up to this gap in the charts at around $207, give or take a couple bucks. Silver, I'd mentioned, is trading a little bit higher in the pre-market session. So right now, silver is trading at $86.37 an ounce. you've got this $88.20 level for this wide range red bar candle. This is the upper end of this. This is where the price action started. And then as you can see, price got this huge sell-off. Now we're getting back up to the upper end of this. So I would be looking to short SLV once we get up to $88.20, knowing I've got the pivot top right here at $90.39 for additional resistance. Now, on the price action of the SLV chart, I would be looking at this resistance level at $82.60 on SLV, looking for silver to head all the way up to $90.39. The tough part with trading SLV against the silver futures charts is it's not a one-for-one correlation. So it's a little bit more difficult. Just know that that first $88.39 level is where I'd be looking to short SLV. Carvana is another stock that we've been monitoring. It is trading a little bit lower in the pre-market session today, just a little bit lower, not a whole lot going on. I still think that if we get up to $361.53 today, that's going to be a key gap in the charts. You should get a rejection, and so that's my first shortable level, 361.53. If we sell off, once we get below this low pivot at $314.87, you still have a lot of support. And this was the earnings report at $271.77. I would look to go long there, knowing I've got additional support at $259.17. Palo Alto Networks, again, trading slightly lower with almost the rest of the markets. Still eyeing this 144.15 level. You get this low pivot from the lows of April 2025. You should get a pretty solid bounce off this level. So again, look at 144.15 for a potential bounce for a day trade. Once it drops below that level, you've got a lot further downside to go. I think your next level of major support is 132, but ultimately, I think you're going down to about $100 on Palo Alto Networks. MU is another stock that we're eyeing as well, slightly lower in the pre-market. If we can get another bid to the upside, your first level of resistance is going to be $438.73. What I'm doing is I'm actually eyeing this $446.47 level with additional resistance at $455.50. Look at this upswing trend line that we have. We've got this pivot low from the 17th of December lows, secondary hit. So those of you who are aggressive, you could wait for a retrace to this upswing trend line, looking at about a $400 pierce. That could be a great entry if you guys are more aggressive. For me, if we drop below that, I'm looking to pick this up for a day trade at $373.25. SanDisk is actually trading higher. We've got this upswing trend line on SanDisk, and here's the 2nd of January 2026. Kiss these levels right here, hit it again right here, and now all of a sudden we're down below and confirmed below this upsloping trend line. So once price action gets back up to about $695.51 on SNDK, that is your first shortable level, knowing that I could dollar cost average every $7 higher, all the way up to the higher end right here at $725.50. So SanDisk is on my radar for the trading day going into the opening bell. AKAM is another stock that's trading slightly lower. You've still got a couple different support levels. The first one is $91.51. Second level or gap fill. This $91.51 level is for those aggressive traders. $89.60 is where I would be looking to pick this up for a day trade, knowing that I've got this additional gap in the charts at $88.12. All right. DE is getting a little bit of a bid to the downside as well. I still like the $675.27 level if we can push up a little bit higher. But look at this upswing trend line. You got this pivot high from the 17th of March, 2021, secondary pivot here, third hit. Now we're above that level. So what I'm actually anticipating now that price action is above, this was, for me, this is kind of setting up like it's a bull trap, trying to get all these bulls on board. For me, I think that once DE gets right below that upswing trend line, we're going to see a pretty significant sell-off on the chart of DE. For me, I would be eyeing this gap in the charts right below the $600 whole round number at $593.43. This is where I would pick this up for a long trade today. I know that's a pretty substantial move to the downside. That would be about an 8 or 9% move, but that's where I'd be eyeing it. pierce of $600 all the way down to $593.82. IREN was somebody in the comments left this and said, what are my levels on IREN? So what I have is $36.52. You have this little pivot. That's going to be a minor pivot in the charts. You should get a little bit of a bounce, but I would be eyeing this $33.34 level for a potential day trade. If it closes below that on a daily closing basis, I would stop out. And then on a swing trade basis, you've got this high pivot point right here, secondary high pivot point. As you can see, once price got above it, it acted as support once, and then you had this major move to the upside. So for me, I would be picking up $15.45 on IREN for a swing trade, knowing I've got additional support on the way down. So watch for a break below $33.34, because that could be your signal that the buyers are stepping out of the way and allowing the bears to take over and drive the price really low on this chart. NVO is a stock that's moving in the pre-market session. So what I've got to do is I've actually got to zoom out in the charts and look at the highs of 10th of February 2021 or the 16th of February 2021. You've got this high pivot point. This is going to be your first level of support at $37.91. But for me, I'm eyeing this gap in the charts right here at $37.10. So that's why I've got these levels. $37.91 is my first long level, and my secondary level, less aggressive, more conservative, is $37.10 in the charts for NVO. So thank you so much for joining me this morning at 8:45. I will be going live every single day as long as the market is open at the same time. So if you guys are getting something out of this, please make sure you're liking, following, subscribing, and sharing with those friends so that way they can get the same market information you're getting. And please stay tuned. Gareth Soloway is going to be talking about the tariff news that happened over the weekend, the potential 15% tariffs. Basically what happened with the president. He decided that he didn't like the ruling. And so that's why the markets are moving a little bit further down today. So stay tuned for that. You don't want to miss it. He's got some great information for you. And we'll see you guys next time in the charts. You guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.